5, we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass, my partner, Mark Wages, and I would like him to kick this off since the call-in show is the way it is. I can't explain any of that, but my bobbleheaded partner can make sense of it. So, Mark, how are you, bud?
I'm doing okay, man. Still fighting this a little bit cold, but, you know, it is what it is. We're going to move forward.
Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, it wasn't, our middle of the week weekend. It's awesome.
Our weekend?
Yeah, you're right, yeah. Yeah, I did some work and stuff around the house. I had to replace a breaker and stuff. My dryer wasn't working.
I remember that part.
Yeah, I talked to you about that. But I'm glad to be here tonight. That's for sure. I think what we talked about before, Tommy. We missed this when we're not here. And
there's no question.
Yeah. But let me give you guys a little bit of instruction on the call-in part of this. I'm going to be posting the number and the link to Zoom in the live chat here once Tommy gets started. I would like for you guys, if you're interested in calling in and giving us, your opinion and stuff like that, if you just want to say something, that's cool too. I'm going to post it up there, but please, if you want to, go ahead and start calling in while Tommy's talking and stuff. You'll get put in a queue, and I'll be able to talk to you guys via chat on the side there. We had, and I did talk to Ladybug. I haven't talked to Tommy about this yet. She had some issue last time trying to call in, if you guys remember that. She got on here just for a second, and then we were getting a really bad echo. For anybody that clicks that link into Zoom, you can shut your YouTube completely off, and you're still going to hear Tommy and myself. You won't see the live chat, but you can have that pulled up at the same time too, because you're going to be getting your audio through Zoom. It's not going to be coming from, because you're clicking a Zoom link. You're not going into YouTube, if that makes any sense. So
absolutely.
But the echo comes from that very same thing I just said, because YouTube's running in the background as you're talking. It's picking up the delay 20 seconds later. It's picking it up and what you're saying now into the mic. So, and then it gets rebroadcasted out. That's why the echo, it sounds like an echo.
Kind of like the radio.
Yeah, exactly. But if you guys would, please go ahead and start calling in when I get this number posted at the top of the live chat. You'll see a meeting, like a meeting number. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and put that right there so I know, I'll just say what it is. It's a meeting ID, and I'll just leave it right there for a second. You guys can see that. You type in, you call that number, and then you type in the meeting ID. After you type that in, it's going to prompt you to do this anyway. And then you have a passcode. Well, once you hit that passcode, you're coming in. I'll be able to admit you at that point. And what'll happen is you'll sit in queue until I do admit you. And that's just how it works on, via the Zoom thing. But I will be posting at the top of the live chat, and there will also be a Zoom link. Anybody that is able to have a smartphone or a computer, you can just click the link and come on in. You won't have to do any of those numbers. So, whatever you guys are more comfortable with, you can actually do this with a landline. You don't have to be on a cell phone or nothing with that number. So just know that. I'm not sure if I ever said that before. I wanted to make sure people understood that. But anyway, guys, I'll just pass back off to Tommy and we'll get rolling here. It's going to be a good one, guys.
Excellent. And I want to say a welcome to Ryan from Pakistan. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us on the boat. And I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. People, so you saw tonight's thumbnail, right? If at first you don't succeed, try again. And we all grew up with that, right? This is something that we all knew from a very, very young age. I'd like you to kind of shift it in your head, because I truthfully have come to the realization after screwing up for so much of my life, and then having a pretty good run for about 7 years now, right? So no drugs for 7 years. I still did plenty of dumb stuff though. Like, the fact that I got sober, it wasn't one of those situations where I instantly started to just, smooth sail. I've been, trying to relearn life without drugs as a part of it. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. The key to life, especially once you get sober, is hunting down other things to quit. That may sound ridiculous, but it is an absolute fact. Brandon Taylor, thank you, my friend. Yeah, let's wear out that like button. I like that idea. Thank you, Brandon. As always, thank you. But if at first you don't succeed, quit again. I'm telling you, people, it is a completely different concept and it's a different mindset. But quitting gets a really bad name. Growing up, it's just one of those things that don't be a quitter, right? Don't do as you get sober and as you have, you get a little bit of time under your belt, you're going to start to realize that in a lot of ways, you're the same person. You really are. And I have found it made it a daily activity these days to hunt down things to quit. I was just talking to my bobbleheaded partner before we went live, and it is really one of those things. Hold on one second. I think addiction can be of anything not being taken under control by the person, him or herself. Absolutely, it can. You can be addicted to a lot of things other than drugs or alcohol. Make no mistake. But once you get that into the rear view mirror, you find out that you're still pretty much the same person. You just start, you're still left with who you are. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is we build up in our head how great it's going to be as soon as we can get that stupid habit out of our lives. Right? If I can just quit smoking dope, or if I can quit shooting heroin, or I can quit, drinking or eating, or any of the habits that we become addicted to. If you can drum them out of your life, we build up in our head this utopia that's going to be instantly there. Once that stuff's done, man, I'm going to be on easy street. And a lot of the behaviors that we learned while addicted are going to continue to follow you. And that's one of those things that you really have to come to grips with. I'm learning it every day. I was telling my partner, you guys know I started a business. I'm blessed beyond belief in how well this business is doing. It's bigger, faster than I ever hoped it would be. But the mindset of being a drug addict, and particularly, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I was a junkie. If you don't like that term, you don't have to use it, but that's what I was. And the reason that I specify that is because to me, that always meant something more than just a drug user. I think of Alan Ballantyne. Alan Ballantyne came on and told his story a few times, and Alan managed to continue to work. He managed to continue to do all of these things. Now, granted, he may have gone, deep in debt and there were a lot of problems, but he lived a life that if you were looking at from down the street, you might have thought the guy was normal. If you were looking at me at the end of my run, you would know that life was not normal. Like there was nothing about my life that was normal. And, no matter how much you had in your pocket, you instantly blew it. And it's a habit that you sort of have to get out of, and for me personally, that's something that, like in this business, you start making a lot of money starts tumbling in and you start thinking, how can I risk this to take it to the next level? And That's the kind of mindset, that can destroy you if you don't change the habits that you lived with while you were an addict. We also were talking right before we went live on the show. Obviously, if you're watching this and if you're a fan of the Lifeboat, if you're a crew member, you especially will notice we did 614 views on Friday's our Friday show. What was that? Tuesday. On Tuesday's show, we did 614 views, which for us is a really big number, right? And we're also been clicking in about 10 new crew members a day. There is a different feel to the Lifeboat this season. I don't think there's anybody that hasn't commented on it at one time or another. And the difference between last season and this season was that Mark and I have figured out all of the things that we needed to quit from last season. That may sound funny as heck, but it's the truth. We quit taking each other for granted. We quit taking the crew for granted. We quit running ourselves into the ground. We quit attacking this like an addict would, where, God forbid we miss a day that, everyone's going to die. And all of the different mindsets that we carried over from when we were addicted, we really have started to eliminate all of those. I'm telling you, people, there's something to this whole quitting thing, right? And but the quit again, there are so many people on the Lifeboat, and there are so many stories of people who, Tommy Bird says, I was a junkie as well, Captain, a functioning one for years that deteriorated into lost, hopeless existence of one. Now I am something else. Sometimes I don't even know what, but it's far better. Thank you, Noise Opera. God bless you, man. I really appreciate you. It's funny that you say that because I was the exact same person. You know what? And Johnny says, I attacked Chase the Heat like an addict also. You know what? Your name may have come up when I was having this conversation. I may have actually said something like that. But yeah, it's the exact same principle. I spiraled out of control. If you had watched me for the first decade, I was using drugs. I was quite normal. But as the drug addiction progressed, so did all of the crazy things that went with it. And this happens to most addicts. You spiral out of control. And it's not just, when we talk about progressing into your addiction, let's say your drug of choice is booze. And you were a 6-pack a day drinker, and then that became a 12-pack a day drinker. Well, if that was the only thing that happened, if that was the only progression in addiction, well, then it wouldn't be such a travesty, would it? But as the amount of dope that I started to do increased, the amount of lies that I told people to keep them from finding out who I really was increased. And the more that spiraled, and all of these things, it's like dominoes. And as he said, by the end, you're just a shell of who you used to be. No one can believe anything you say. All of the different things that I had set out. I used to justify my addiction by saying, well, I'm not a junkie, right? I mean, I would have a hard time quitting, right? Because it's a physical dependency, but I go to work, I make really good money, I take care of my family. And when those things were gone, you had a whole other list. Okay, I steal, but I would never steal from a friend. I wouldn't steal from a family member. I wouldn't do anything like that. And then I started stealing from friends, and then I started stealing from family members. And then it got to a point where if there was something of value within, any my sight line in any direction, 360 degrees, I was going to take it. Yep. And I was going to risk whatever to take it. I told you the ridiculous story of me stealing the, that.
Didn't we kind of kind of justify that in our own mind by using that term, a functioning addict?
Absolutely. And when you consider yourself a functioning addict, this is why people get so deep so fast. The problem is that when you believe you're a functioning addict, and I mean, there is something to that term, right? There really is. If you're paying your bills, you're functioning, right? So the fact that you're taking care of business will keep you in the addiction, because you look at other people who are panhandling on the side of the road to get their heroin, and here I'm working as a public speaker to do it. I still got my stuff together. I wear a suit. 4 years later, you're selling that suit and everything else, because it spirals. It's one of the reasons, and I'm not busting on anybody or anybody's habits, but it's one of the reasons that I always get concerned about drugs that don't make you hit rock bottom. You know what I mean? I mean, the nice thing about heroin is it's definitely going to force you to either take a really hard look at your life, because you're going to end up in prison, You're going to end up in rehab or you're going to end up dead. And there are drugs out there that people can do their entire life and never have that happen. There are drugs out there that will make you a functioning addict because you can continue to go to work, but it's going to freeze you at exactly where you're at. If you think of life as a ladder where you're supposed to be progressing in every way, you're supposed to be getting kinder, you're supposed to be getting smarter, you're supposed to be doing all of these things, you're just going to park right where you're at. And yeah, you're not stealing to buy your drug, and you're still working your job, but are you progressing as a human? One of the scary things about addiction in general is it freezes you on the ladder of life. And some of those drugs, I think heroin is a prime example of it, will start making you climb back down that ladder, right? Not only are you not progressing as a human being, you're going in the exact opposite direction. You're literally taking down one rung at a time. But I want you to think, this season, I'm telling you, this season for me is, if at first you don't succeed, quit again, which, by the way, I really like as a t-shirt. But I am hunting down different things in my life that I need to get rid of. I mean, I'm actively hunting things down. I saw something the other day, and I wish I could remember word for word what it said, but it was something along the lines, someone had said that they were going to dedicate the rest of their time on this planet to trying to make other people feel happy. And I thought, you know what? It may sound like it's just a goal. What it is you're quitting everything that causes that not to happen. You understand what I'm saying? If you say, well, from this point forward, I'm just really going to start treating people how I want to be treated. What you're doing is you're going to quit treating people like they're less than you. You're going to quit treating people like they're whatever. Pick your favorite, problem that you have. It really is hunting down those activities and those behaviors that are keeping you from climbing that ladder to being a better person. And as far as just becoming sober goes, look, you can't get discouraged as you stumble. The key is, and we've said this many times on the lifeboat, but if you think about the phrase, if at first you don't succeed, then you quit again. The second quit is usually the most important. Right? Putting down the pipe is not really the question. It's not picking it back up. Right? Putting down the bottle, everybody does that, right? The average person that gets sober quits hundreds of times, sometimes before they get sober. There are the stories of people that set it down and they never, pick it back up. Those happen. But for the most part, there are a lot of relapses. The question becomes, how fast do you quit again? Truthfully, if you make that mistake, how fast do you quit again? And do you waste it? Right? How many times have we said on the boat, there is such thing as a great relapse? There really is. There are epic relapses. That's the relapse where you have the epiphany, where you go, wow, I know exactly why I did this. I know exactly at what moment I said, screw it, I'm calling the dope man, or I'm going to the liquor store, or whatever, your poison is.
That really hits home for me a little bit, because I remember early on in my recovery quitting multiple times in one day.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I mean, don't you?
Absolutely.
You really have to. You're almost talking yourself out of going back to doing what you were doing over and over and over again in the same day, and that does happen early on. I think. We have to realize it's there so we can address it and just recognize that it's normal. So
recognizing it's normal is key. And I'll tell you something, Mark, I'm not laughing, but I remember those days too, where you get up in the morning and you go, you know what? I swear to you, this is the day that I quit. It's never going to happen again. This is, you know what? I'm going to fix right now because I don't want to, I want to make all these decisions and do all of that. And this is the last bag in the house. And I'm not going to call this guy ever again. I'm not going to. And then you find one about 3.5 hours later, you're opening a medicine chest or whatever, and you found the one little bag that you had stashed. Well, had I quit, I would have flushed that one, right?
Right.
But you do the same thing. You go, I'm going to do this one because I found it in the house. And no, I remember many times where I would make up my mind to quit, 5, 6, 7 times in one day.
You might read Tara's message or a couple last there. Tara says, I need a line of meth now. I guess mom's going off on him or her. I don't know. Are you okay, bud?
Is that Tara the sailor?
Yep.
Okay, because we have a couple of Taras.
Yep.
You know what? I used to use this term constantly, I used to, the need for something was when I was in the life and I was getting high. I used to say this all of the time. I think really what it always was for me was I need to get away from the situation that I'm dealing with. I don't need a line of meth. I don't need a shot of dope. What I need is to get away from what is driving me insane. And if you can identify the driving factor that is making you want to snort that line, then you can eliminate it without snorting that line.
Yep.
And I assure you that and I'm not, we are, everybody here knows this. That's why you're here. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. But that line is not going to do anything other than exactly what it is going to do. It's going to kick on the receptor in your brain. It is going to flood you with your own drugs, right? The meth isn't going to do anything to you. That's the truth. The meth is going to flood your brain with your own drugs, the ones that you produce every single day of your life inside your body. And then they're going to go and they're going to coat the receptors, and you're going to feel like everything is okay for a period of time. And then what's going to happen is the guilt's going to kick in, and we're going to be right back to where we start on this journey. If you can identify, right, what is driving you insane, then you can get away from it. And we talk all the time. If you get tired of hearing this, people, I apologize, but this needs to be said. If you feel right now like you really need a line of meth, get out of wherever you are.
Take your environment.
Seriously, if it means turning the boat off because you're on a computer, we'll see you next time. But get out of the room that you're in. Don't look at those four walls. Go for a walk. Because the truth of the matter is, people, that when that grips you and you get that feeling, you only have to get rid of that feeling for about 4 minutes. That's the truth. When you get that desire that is overwhelming, the only reason it's going to continue is because you're going to allow it to. And I don't mean consciously allow it to, but if you feed into it and if you concentrate on it and if you do all of these things, then you're going to continue to go. I'm going to use an example, and because this really struck me the other day. We took a call on the last show, and from a faithful crew member on this boat. Really a great guy. And if you happen to catch the show, it was the last call that we did. It was from Swiss Vapor. If you could imagine the things that this man has been through, right? The Swiss Vape has been down rabbit holes that nobody in the world would ever want to go down. He has seen service in wartime, and he's witnessed things that will scar a human being for their entire life. And when he got on the call, he started to relive that. He really and honestly started to relive that. And it started to, you could watch it, in live time, you could watch this starting for this man to really descent. And not intentionally, I assure you, but I brought up his daughter. And like a light switch,
Yep.
You could hear the tone in that man's voice. Every single thing that was going on completely changed. And then somebody on the lifeboat reached out to me and said, I watched in real time as the reaction part of that man's brain slid to the thinking part of that man's brain like a light switch. It was everything you guys talk about on the lifeboat. Now, I assure you, people, I wasn't trying to manipulate anybody or anything else. I brought up his daughter because he talks about her constantly, and I knew we were getting close to running out of time. But it was amazing to watch just how quickly somebody can leave a descent and go right back into a really good place. When you hear psychiatrists and psychologists and say, you just got to go to a happy place, I used to go, what the heck? I'm thinking about doing dope. You want to talk to me about a happy place? Sorry. Well, what they're saying is what Mark has said from the beginning of the lifeboat. Two things can't occupy the same place at the same time. Whether that thing is an automobile in a parking space, or whether it's the desire to shoot a bag of dope or to do a line of meth or to do anything else. You cannot think that thought while thinking another thought. So if you're into that descent, people, we're feeding into it. We're allowing it to happen. And you literally can change the thought process. And people go, well, that's easier said than done. It's a difficult thing to do if you sit in the same room and stare at the same four walls. And do you know how I know that? Tara, we love you. This is the lifeboat. Thank you for being here. Yep. We really appreciate you being here. But I sat in a prison cell, people, for a long time. And I was in a lockdown unit, and all I had to do was go like this on the wall next to me, and a string, right, with something tied onto the end of it would go right into the cell. The guy would do one of these numbers and zip it in. And there would be a 100 piece of heroin on the end of that string. All I had to do was bang on the wall. And to sit in there with the desire to do the stuff, knowing it's right next door, and you can't leave. You can't, there's no way to get out of that. People, I used to jam my face into the mesh screen in this place because the windows were, you could open them. And I would jam my face into the mesh screen so that I could smell air that didn't smell like the inside of that cell. And I would look outside. And I remember the first time, I think I've told the story on here. I remember I saw a cat on the prison yard. And my first thought was, how in the hell did a cat get on the prison yard? Like it had to have gotten under a fence, right? Or over a fence. Like, how did this happen? But this cat was there for probably 4 or 5 months. And when I started to think about dope, I would go to that window and look for that cat. And if you knew the number of times I was blessed to see that, because instantly you would go, oh man, like it was such a change in the mind that guy next door wasn't getting my $100. But it's a difficult thing to do if you're locked in a cell. I mean, there's no getting around that. It is a very, very difficult thing to do. But if you can get up and get out of any situation, man, get up, get out. Believe it or not, I told my bobbleheaded partner that, I think it was yesterday. He reached out to me and said, it sounded like a bad situation.
I was in a bad situation, guys. I really was. I can share it real quick if you want me to.
Please.
Yeah, I've been sick, guys. You guys know that. Still hanging on, still running fevers and stuff. And I think I mentioned earlier on in this week that we had a problem with our dryer, and it's a fairly new dryer, about 4 or 5 years old. And if anybody knows anything about that, that means that nowadays we can't work on them. That's pretty much what that means. Okay, so yes. You got to call a technician. Well, the technician was scheduled to come here, and he got here on Thursday afternoon. Well, about noon, a little bit before. Anyway, he goes downstairs, and he's downstairs with my dryer for like not even 5 minutes. My son says, hey, he needs to talk to you. And there was nothing wrong with the dryer. I had problems with my electric. The power coming into the dryer was not working the right way. Okay, I needed 240. And we all know what 120 is, right? Stuff that's in the wall.
Yeah.
So on a dryer, and I know I don't need to explain this, but there's 3 prongs on those plugs. 2 of those prongs is 120 volt, and the one in the middle is your ground. So I had one of those 120s was only giving me 30 volts. So my heating element wouldn't turn on. And, and from that point, it becomes a train wreck for a lot of people because you got to try to troubleshoot where that's at. And, yeah, Daniel, it sucks, doesn't it? But I ended up having to change out the breaker in my main panel because the breaker itself was bad. And again, I get it's old, but just to say that, I'm not an electrician. I didn't even have a multimeter. I had to go buy one. And when I'm sitting here I'm on the phone with my dad, and my dad is just awesome. Okay. We've been back and forth a few times arguing about certain things, religious subjects, and all kinds of crazy things. And the past few years hasn't been the greatest between me and him. But I'm telling you, every time, anytime, he is there for me 100%. Okay? Even though we might have had some disagreements or something this past week, because we did. He didn't even bring it up. When I said, hey, this is what's going on, I don't know nothing about electric. Bam, there he was. And I'm telling you, I sat down and thought about that after I was able to fix my issue and stuff. And I literally cried because I was like, how could I talk to my dad like I did and just him just completely forget it and just help me, right? But you know what I realized? I do the same thing for my kids. That's how I know, right? And I wasn't applying that. And I knew he was always been there for me. You know what I'm saying, guys? I've always said that. That's why I've never relapsed. It's because of my support system. If people would even ask me, how can you stay clean for 11 years and never have relapsed? How are you on that good side of that statistic? And again, you wouldn't even ask me that if you knew my family, especially my wife and my kids. You wouldn't even have to ask me. You would know. You would see it. It's just that way. And it's special for me. And I'm glad that, and we're getting the same kind of thing here. And that's why I bring it up. Because, like Tommy says so many times, guys, we're choosing our family. This is our family. We're choosing.
Absolutely are.
That's why we're here. And it's a support system. And you can see it tonight. I've read 3 or 4 different conversations in here. You guys are there for each other. 100. And I would say this to Tara. Listen, the fact that you said what you said at the beginning, that tells me that you're thinking the right way. You recognized it immediately that you were going to have an issue. You needed to at least talk about it or say it here in our chat, because it does help. So now that you understand that, and now that you've done that, now you're recognizing it, you're growing. And that's what we're trying to do.
It's the first evidence that, you reach out, and very oftentimes you can derail that thought process by simply reaching out. I saw another comment. Kelly Smith, Kelly has a son that's in prison over meth, and Kelly's wrestling with it because she knows that as of yet he hasn't learned a lesson. He plans on continuing to do this when he gets out. And it's a sad situation. It doesn't mean it's etched in stone. I promise you, there was a time where if you had this conversation about me while I was in there, people would be going, "They should just keep him in there. He's just going to get out and he's just going to do dope again." And I mean, that is exactly who I was. They weren't wrong. I think I probably astounded a lot of people when I got out this time. You just pray that he hears the right thing at the right time. That because that's literally what it takes sometimes, just to have somebody to say the right thing when you're just sick and tired of the life.
And that's the thing, like you said a lot of times, Tommy, is that window opens up ever so small for a very limited amount of time. And
it's the truth.
And Tommy was fortunate enough to have Q right there when that window opened.
Yeah.
And
it really was just a miracle that he was there when he was.
Right.
Because it is a short window, people. It is. And just like Mark said earlier on in the show, sometimes you quit, twice in one day or 3 times in one day. Sometimes that window will open 2 or 3 times in one day.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might not open for months, but there are always those brief moments of clarity. And at that time is when somebody sort of needs to step in, because if you believe, if you believe that you can do this on your own, God bless you. I mean, it happens from time to time, but the gold standard is dealing with people who have already done it. People who have figured out how to get out of that forest can usually, guide the way, and that seems to work.
That's a good thing, Daniel.
We could get prayers for Chi-Chi's mom. Did you see that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, if we could have thoughts and prayers, please, for Chi-Chi's mom, that would be Chi-Chi. Great to see you here on the boat. Leisure, good to see you as well.
And one more prayer request, guys. I got an email from Ladybug. She wants prayers also. I'm not going to get into what all was going on there. She was going to call in tonight, but she can't because of reasons. Okay. But she actually asked me in the email if we could pray for her. So
I love it.
So please, guys, or good thoughts, whatever you guys do, right?
And they seem to be working around here.
Yeah, they do.
Notice that? I look out over the deck and I see Tommy, and he's just living proof, right?
Well, Daniel actually hit on something there. I don't know if he realized it or not, but he said that he found a new happy place, and that was making bread. Guys, that's how
I love it.
That's how common those things can be. If it makes you happy,
I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? Hey, Ripper. But yeah, that's what we're saying. You really can. It can be that simple. It really can. And a lot of times, the more simple it is, the better chance you have of following through with that.
Dave's Famous Bread. Anybody know Dave's Famous Bread?
I've heard of it, but I don't know.
Okay, Dave's Famous Bread was started by a gentleman who got the thing up and running because he wanted his brother in Oregon to have a chance when he got out of prison to go to work somewhere, because they just couldn't get work with a criminal record. And he was good at baking, and he said he just wanted to give his brother a shot at a career, and it worked beautifully. Now they donate a ton of bread to prisons, and when you get it. I did time in the federal system in Oregon, and all of a sudden the bread will come in and you'll go like this. What in God's name is this? There'll be like 5 grain bread or whatever, and the story of Dave's, and now he only hires people that come out. Yes, you could send me something about the human brain. I would love it. My email is in the Dropbox, and yes, Full of Hope says, "Oh, the book of bread. It's fun, and sourdough is my favorite." Yeah, see, I mean, there's but they only hire felons, and it has become not just a business, but almost a mission, and it's just a beautiful thing. Very successful company, but you know what's really funny too? I mean, it's funny and it's not, but I have said many, many times on the lifeboat that I could count on 3 fingers the number of times that I would buy drugs from someone that wasn't in this country illegally. Heroin. That's how it worked. I'm not being racist. I'm not being anything. It's just a stone cold fact. And they were very brief periods of time. It didn't seem like anytime someone else was selling drugs, because you get caught and you're gone. In the big business of the cartels, when somebody gets caught, there's another guy that takes his place in 6 seconds. But that was the name of the guy that I used to buy from.
Hey guys, if you want to call in, go ahead. Ripper, if you want to call in and talk to us, man, please. The link's right there in the live chat. The number.
Yeah, if you've got something going on, or you want to weigh in on something, feel free. You know what I mean? If not, no harm, no foul. But yeah, Daniel Theobald was or is that Theobald or Theold? No, it's Theobald.
Yeah,
that's actually the name. Crazy. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
fresh from the shower.
He says,
but yeah, people. The question becomes this season and in life in general. What can you quit going forward? Rip Curl. Good to see you, Rip.
Yep.
People, if you've never gone over and checked out that channel, you should. And if you've never seen interviews that we've done on here with Rip, Rip is a fascinating guy and the easiest interview ever.
Yeah.
Like seriously,
yeah.
you want to take all responsibility off of someone doing an interview. This is the cat to interview.
Yep.
You ask Rip a question, and he is clear and concise, and sort of dovetails from one thing to the other before you can even think of it.
We've got Mosin in here. He's
all
right. How you doing?
Welcome.
I'm good. How about you?
Excellent. Thank you for calling into the lifeboat.
Thank you so much.
So how you been, man?
I've been really good, and I've been studying the human brain.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a girl here, Vertrice. She told me about this lifeboat.
Okay.
She told me to join it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to hang out with you guys. And I was listening to Tommy here, and he's really good. And there are a lot of people out here who need help, a lot of them, and I'm here to help them. Seriously.
Very cool.
That's awesome, man.
So you've been studying the brain, huh?
Yep, it's dopamine. That's the chemical in the brain that allows a person to take, not to give anyone anything.
Yep.
That's exactly
It's
right.
a human pleasure.
Yeah. Yep. And nothing.
That's the point here. And people don't get addicted to anything just like that.
Yeah, it's the reward center of the brain malfunctioning, right?
Yep. That's right.
Dopamine comes down at good times. Like if they hand you your newborn baby, that's when dopamine is supposed to come rushing through the body. When you pick up a bag of dope, though, the addict has a malfunctioning reward center that starts to flood them the exact same way as if they were being handed a baby. It's fascinating stuff, isn't it?
How do you
Yeah, that's true.
How do you pronounce your name? Just curious. I don't want to mispronounce you.
It's Mosin Shima.
Okay. Are you?
But I've been a telemarketer, so I call myself Ryan.
Okay. Hey, there you go. There you go.
That's
awesome. That's awesome.
I love that. Your English is excellent.
Are you from?
Really
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much.
You speak excellent English. He's calling for Pakistan.
That's what I thought. That's what I was going to ask. I thought.
Oh, you figured that out, Tommy.
I did.
Yep.
Yes, I did. But you have excellent English.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that.
Yep.
Very
My
cool
hard
that you're
work paid
studying
off.
the brain.
30 years in telemarketing.
Well, you have mastered it. I'll tell you what. You can send me virtually anything you want on the brain. I've been sort of self-educating on the brain as it relates. I mean, if it falls outside of drugs and alcohol and addiction, I couldn't tell you much. But if it has anything to do with that, I spend a pretty decent amount of time I'm trying to research it because this has sort of become my life.
I'll send you a link about a person. His name is Sahil, and he also studied the human brain from Ryerson University, California, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I would love that.
That's
I would
awesome.
absolutely love that. And you know what? We're honored to have you on the lifeboat.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Oh, I mean it. And we love seeing the boat sail into different harbors. I think this is what social media was supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
People
you're
from
right.
every walk
That's
of life
right.
realizing that there's so much more that keeps us all the same than makes us all different. And I love it. I'm so happy you're here.
Yep.
The credit goes to Virtues.
You know what, Miss V?
Yes.
Yes, she is
Yeah, Miss V. She
yeah,
told me
well-
that no one will know about us. I told her they will. I'll tell them.
Oh yeah. No, we're very very happy that you're here. We're very happy Miss V told you about the lifeboat. We're blessed.
She's awesome.
That is
guys.
awesome.
I was talking to her. And she was like getting along with me. And there's this another lady called Teresa. I'll call her too.
Teresa.
Awesome.
Yeah, and she's here on the boat too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought she was. Is her screen name? Is that T? Is that T Prada? I think maybe.
I believe that is T
I think
Prada.
it's T Prada, right? Yep. Yeah. It's what's it like over there? Do you guys fight the same issues we do over here when it comes to addiction?
In Pakistan?
Yeah.
Well, you can say that like in politics here, people just fight and argue. That's it. They just fight, they argue, they divide and rule. That's it.
How's the drug problem over there?
Oh, well, that's like people are addicted to cigarettes, and you can say meth, sometimes ice,
Okay.
Nice.
and you can say it's like the alcohol is really open here, but
Right.
people try to use it in private.
Yes, I understand completely.
What kind of
I understand.
So you can say
completely.
that a lot of things go around here, but people don't really tell anyone. You know,
Right.
the cops, the feds.
Yes,
right?
yeah, I completely understand that.
What kind of
The,
programs do they have over there at all to try?
What kind of what?
What kind of programs do they have to help you?
Like, therapy, and they talk to you. And I went to this psychologist, and she kept asking me like, why are you here? And I was telling her like, that's the same question that I want to ask you, why I'm here with you. How can you help me? So I kept putting questions in front of her, and she was like still she couldn't answer my questions.
Right. That's
Yeah, and the problem that we have here in Pakistan is like what people do in the West. We are much influenced by you people.
Well, yeah, I believe that 100%. I believe that 100%. I'm surprised
Whatever goes
that.
there goes here.
Well, and you're a lot closer to the heroin capital of the world.
Yeah,
But we
opium.
That's
really
true.
have a problem with
Heroin
that
goes
here.
here too, bro.
Yeah, that's the scourge of the entire planet right now. Is that the opiates? You know what? And I know that you're new to the lifeboat, but see, on the very first day that we started this channel, and I came out and I said, we're losing about 180 people a day to drug overdoses. Now it's about 300, but I made a reference to, I said, that's like losing an airplane a 747 every other day. Now we're losing one every day. But back then it was like losing one every other day. And I talked about that. And this was a year and a month ago, almost exactly. Last night, I heard a politician say that. He said there are 300 people that we're losing. He said that's like losing a full 747 every day. And I thought, good Lord. They're finally talking about, because we've been beating this drum for a long time on the lifeboat. This is the number one cause of death in our country from 18 to 48 rather. For the first time in generations, our life expectancy is dropping. It's not, you should just increase and you would always live longer than your parents. And what's fueling it is 300 people a day dying of drug overdoses, many of them in the 20s and 30s. And this is causing the life expectancy in our country to actually drop. But it is a worldwide epidemic. So I'm not surprised that you're seeing it over there as well.
I'm glad you came in and told us that, because I think it does help people understand that this is just not a Western problem. This is a worldwide epidemic, and at some level, it's going to take a worldwide solution,
Right.
whatever that is. I don't think anybody has it yet. We've been
I
talking.
don't know, but I bet you love's got a lot to do with it.
I'm right there on that boat with you for sure.
I bet you. Yeah. That's what you did there.
Yep.
Thank you so much for calling into the lifeboat, man. You made my day. People, it's another
Thank you so much.
Pakistan. And yes, please drop me anything you want to send to me. It's CaptainTommyScoville@gmail.com. And
Okay, and by the way, I'm really into rock and metal music. That's my addiction.
you know what? We do shows on this.
Yep.
Healthy addictions are a really good thing. So keep that one up. You know, you can.
I really like it, man. I really like it.
So, what's your favorite metal band?
Well, Black Sabbath.
There you
go.
There you
Can't
go.
go wrong with that.
And the Lord of Heavy Metal, Sir Tony Iommi.
Tony Iommi.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No, he created metal. That's the point.
Yep.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know that anybody who's really into metal, if you say what's your favorite metal band, I bet 9 out of 10 times you hear Sabbath. That's just something that everybody says.
I also listen to Deep Purple, Motorhead, Van Halen, Led Zeppelin, Def Leppard.
Oh yeah, great taste in music.
Black
You
Label
got
Society.
Great taste.
I
in
You
didn't
name
music.
it, man.
I knew Johnny was going to step in here. Johnny plays.
I knew that too.
Yep.
I thought to myself, my brother is a big metalhead, and you see him in the comment section under Chase the Heat, and I thought, you know, if he's still watching, he speaks the truth. My brother says.
You should go check out his channel, Motion.
You should check out his channel because you two would
Sure.
Yeah, it's called Chase.
You know,
the Heat.
in Pakistan, rock and metal are considered to be devil worshippers.
Yeah.
That was like that over here at the beginning, wasn't it, Tommy?
Exactly. I was about to say, if you went back 30 years ago, there was a lot of talk about that here in the U.S. as well. I bet 30 years from now they won't be saying that. It seems at first it just kind of sounds crazy, and the album covers. Let's be really honest. The pictures on the album covers don't help.
That's where the art lies, man. That's where the art lies.
Yeah.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah. If you just
People don't get it. People don't get it. That's the point.
Well,
Look, I'm a
it's a
Pakistani, and I've told people that I listen to this music, and they call me, "Hey, are you crazy? Are you out of your damn mind?"
I think we got Steve on the line here too. Is that you, Steve?
I'm here.
All right. Cool.
Hey! I liked Steve the Adam joke earlier. I was kind of on a roll, but if you missed that, people, his dad joke game is it's on fire.
Hey,
his dad joke game is second to none.
Yep. Hey, Motion, if you got anything else that you ever want to call in about, please do.
Don't hesitate. Please.
That's something that we haven't been able to cover a whole lot.
Okay. Are you guys on Facebook or like Instagram?
Yeah, Miss V can tell you where we're at on Facebook. We have the Safe Harbor crew over there, because I could try to explain things, but literally outside of like this right here, I can't figure out anything. I am woefully behind on all things technology. I'm very lucky that I can even turn a computer on.
Me and Tommy don't usually go there. That's something for you guys.
Yeah, we try to. We very rarely do I go by. We would like there to be a safe harbor, so to speak, so that people can go and if they want to say, "Boy, Tommy really sucked last night," I won't be there to listen to it. You know what I mean? Like it's a place where everybody can vent and talk about whatever they want.
Yep.
Sure, man. Sure.
Hey, Steve, you doing okay?
I'm doing fine. But I got a question for you, Mark.
Okay, go for it.
Why do smartphones ring?
I know I'm gonna feel really dumb here in about 2 seconds, but why do they ring?
Because they can't
That's a
talk.
weird question.
Okay. That's a good one, Steve. It's a dad joke, Motion.
Yes, we have a
Good one, man.
thing in America called the dad joke, and if at the end of the joke you go, "Boy, that's a good one," then it's probably not a dad joke. Like the idea is they usually are the kind of jokes that make kids laugh and make adults go, "Oh, you got to be kidding." That's the dad joke, and he is the absolute master of
And
them.
Johnny's digging on you. Did y'all hear what Tommy said? If my brother is still here, no faith.
Nonsense. I knew he was here. I just meant that he was going to I probably did word it that way, but what I meant was guaranteed Johnny's going to comment because he's a big fan of metal. You know, it's honestly the best thing about you calling in, as Mark said. We really feel like, and we are without a doubt the largest consumers of drugs anywhere in the world. That is an absolute fact. It's not arguable. America has the largest drug problem currently of anywhere in the world, and I think that our society kind of lends itself to that because of how the society is run. But we tend to start thinking of the drug problem that it ends in Maine and then it goes out to California and then all the way down to Texas and right up to the Canadian border. But this is something that is plaguing the entire planet. And the sad thing, Motion, is that as you said, you tend to follow everything that's going. We tend to lead the world a little in cultural things. There are really awful drugs on their way to your shore. I promise you. The really bad stuff that is really killing people here. I hear about this. I get emails all the time from people who will either send me an article or something that Chechnya is now dealing with all of this stuff off of the fentanyl and the nits. So nitazines and fentanyl are the next wave to hit you guys, and it's good Lord.
I think
I just hope it doesn't, but it's on its way.
Yeah, and I think that I'm not sure if we talked about that much here with this. What I'm getting ready to say, there's actually a newer thing out right now, and it's called Rainbow, and it's pills.
Kelly Smith, have a good night. Sorry, Mark. Kelly, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, see you later, Kelly. Have a great one.
Alan Valentine, love you, brother. Just saw Alan in
but
there.
the Rainbow are just different colored pills. That's all they are.
Yes,
it's
correct. It's also coming in chalk form.
Yes, sidewalk chalk.
It looks like sidewalk chalk. It's also rainbow. All it is at this point is more often than not, this is just a way that the dealers, whether you consider those cartels or whatever street, it's just a way to distinguish product from other people. Right now, everybody's selling Fent. And for the longest time, they were all selling it under fake Percocet 30s. But now you got people who are adding a little bit of benzo or they're adding a little bit of this, and they're all trying to tweak their product a little bit to make it more deadly.
Yep.
Honestly, a little bit better for the hardcore junkie. And if you can't distinguish that product from the next guy's product, so you're going to see a lot of this. The rainbow stuff is different pill colors and. Go ahead.
What did you say, Steve?
Well, I didn't say anything.
Oh,
but
was that Motion? Motion
may have been.
Motion, did you?
Well,
okay.
Yeah, there.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I heard it too. I don't know what.
Let me.
Go ahead, Mark.
If I could, I want to share just something real quick. I know we're getting to the top of the show, but I'd like to, share this because, I go to group every Thursday. We do a Zoom call. It's something I do for my medicated assisted treatment, and it's a great place for me, and it's really good. But what I want to say is that my counselor, and oftentimes you're starting to see this now, she's a recovering heroin addict. Okay, she lost her son 2 years ago to an overdose. And why I'm bringing this up is because I brought up the article that we talked about in the last show, with the Vancouver, giving the drugs out and that kind of thing.
Yep.
And it was never so more, I guess, in my face that I noticed that there's like really, really so many different opinions on that. Because not only did we kind of see it here, I took it to real life for me, right? We're here where I live, and it just inside my group, there was a lot of different opinions. And I thought that was such a great thing because people have to talk about it. And,
Amen.
And you got to keep the conversation going. And I know Steve does that. It's just a little side joke there. But,
well, and yeah, but keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. But yeah, and why I say all that is because she lost, and I think we're going to start seeing this a lot. She lost her son, and she actually said that she's 100% on board anything that's going to keep people alive.
Yep.
And, and we had a couple people in the group that just kind of disagree with that a little bit because of the premise of what we're talking about here. We're talking about giving addicts fentanyl 4 times a day. And it seems kind of like a backwards thing for people to do because that's how we were programmed, and I think that at the end of the day, even at the end of my group on Thursday night, it all fell back to that it's never going to be an easy answer.
No, it's never going to be an easy answer. But I understand completely why someone who has lost someone in their life is going to, is going to lean toward, I don't care what they do. If they can keep one more child from dying, you know what I mean? It's going to be so raw for that person that, if regardless of how extreme it may seem, they're going to see it as a solution that's going to keep people alive. But I'm glad that Seventh Son is on the line today because the president's speech last night and the rebuttal, or I guess it was a pre-buttal because they did the rebuttal beforehand. I guess you call it a pre-buttal, but they're starting to beat this drum really loud, and it's because of cats like you. And I mean that so wholeheartedly from the bottom of my heart. It's people who are writing letters and they're getting in people's faces about this. It's and you say, well, no, it just got to epidemic. No, man, it's been an epidemic for a long damn time.
Yes, it has.
It's because people like you are making it so that politicians are now afraid for their job if they don't talk about it. And the only shining spot of these god awful numbers is that it's now really starting to touch so many lives that everybody's getting a little PO'd. Yep. And I think that we're going to start to see some legislation. Stacy Michaels, good to see you.
Just to bring in a little bit of perspective about the numbers we're talking about here, guys, and how things have changed. And I still believe that these numbers are not correct. I think they're way higher than what we see.
Damn right.
But if you remember when they called this a heroin epidemic in the 70s. Okay, why? Because it was shocking people to see on the streets of America these guys out here all, bent over and nodding out. But there was only 7,000 people that died from an overdose that year.
And that was the record year for the 70s was 73 or something like that.
Something like that. And now we're looking at 150,000 plus. Okay, it's got to be it's got to be at least double that.
I agree with you. It's so much higher than they're giving it credit for. It's so much higher than. But even if it's just 300 a day, right, that is 120 American households a day disappearing. It's a 737 or 747 400 a day crashing into the ground. And it's funny because we said that so many times on the lifeboat. I was in here last night actually working in the office on a watch, and I heard it on the because I wasn't watching but I was listening, and I yelled, "Hey, how many times have we said that?" It was I felt somewhat vindicated to hear someone say the exact same thing. I really was.
And I brought that up because we're talking about the bigger changes they got to happen on the national stage, worldwide stage. And
worldwide stage, as our new crew member can tell you.
And
Noise Opera, we love you, bud. Let me say this real quick. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
But this is a cat. Honestly, you talk about, we were talking about growth on the boat. This is a guy that has, from where he is today and where he was when I met him, are like two different people. I swear to you. We had a lot of interaction about a year ago, maybe, almost a year ago. And the person that he has become in the last year, you remember when we were all very concerned about the what did they call it? It was a river in the sky. You remember the unbelievable flooding that almost washed away an entire town in Canada?
Yep. That
was Noise Opera. And I don't know whether but he is just, I could not, there's never seen growth like this from anyone. And I don't just mean, not sobriety stuff or anything else, just growth as a human. This guy has really come a long way. We love you, brother. We're really glad that you're.
We do.
Sorry, Mark.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to, kind of give another accolade here to Steve, Seventh Son.
Yeah.
Because it's people like him that takes that extra step, that puts it out here in front of our leaders, politicians, whatever you want to call them. Without that, nobody is going to address anything. It's just going to keep going on and on and on because people are just they're so centralized in what they're doing. They're very short-sighted. They don't look for the future. They want something right now.
Right.
And if it can't be fixed right now, they don't want to fix it.
Yeah. And if you can't see it from their back door, they don't want to have anything to do with it. And I'll tell you what, if 1% of the people in this country did what Steve did, it would be the number one issue on the next campaign. If 1% of this country did what he did. But I've always said, yeah, Steve, you're my hero on this one.
Sure.
You know, everybody talks about it, and you're doing something about it, and you did it at a level that is just
let
amazing.
me say goodbye here, guys, to Mosin and Steve. I'm going to go ahead and get them out of the call here so we can, because we're at the top.
Wrap it on up.
Oh, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead. You got something else you want to say?
Why are mushrooms always invited to parties?
Is that a question for me?
Oh, I know why. Because they're fun guys.
That's right. There you go. That's right.
All right.
Whoa. What can I say now?
Yeah, exactly.
Kat, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Do you know what? I hope that I have welcomed Kat. We have so many cats.
I did.
But I don't remember.
We did earlier tonight.
We did good.
Yeah,
Kat with a K.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Kat, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's people, we love you. This season has been so much more fun. So listen, people, going forward, I'm gonna be putting up some of the choices for this season's shirt. But if at first you don't succeed, quit again is one of them. Quitting gets a bad name, people.
Hold on 1 second, Tommy. See you, Motion. See you, Steve. I'm gonna kick you guys off the thing here real quick, okay?
Sure, no problem.
All right, guys. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you so much for calling in.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Good. Sorry, Tommy.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's awesome.
We got
awesome. You
crew
too, Steve.
in Pakistan.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I mean, that is what you said it right, man. That is exactly what social media and the internet should be used for.
Yeah.
That's a good part of it, guys. So when we see something good like that, like what we're doing here, and then you hear that coming in like that, just know that we're all here doing something positive, and you need to put that in your tool belt when you start feeling bad. Whip that out. Say, hey, I'm a part of this lifeboat thing. That's a positive thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just pull it out.
Yeah.
Whenever you need it.
Yeah, it's and it's just amazing we're all the same, man. We are all the same. We're all wrestling with the same things, all of the same feelings. To hear someone excellent English, but to hear a Pakistani accent say, I like Van Halen, I like AC/DC, I like Black Sabbath. I mean, we're all the same people. We're just we're just on different parts of the world.
With the internet and stuff, I think the world's gotten smaller. I mean, I think we all can agree to that. And
it should. This is what social media was designed to do. And Kat, thank you again, not just for but back. It's a great comment. I really do love this boat, and coming back off of 2 days off it really slaps you in the face just how much you miss it when it's not here. And it's good, we catch up on stuff, and it gives us time to prepare for the week's shows and what we're going to talk about. But it's just great to be back. This is such a fun thing to do. But if we go any longer, we certainly won't get 600 views because the big red button will bury us. But we're growing, people, and it's because of you guys. It's not because of us. Right. We know that. And we want to thank you. We will be back tomorrow night, and we look forward to seeing every one of you here. I am Captain Tommy Scoble, and on the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages.
And this fat girl is getting hard to lift up. This is a cat in a basket. Good night, everybody.